What's up, guys? It's Actix here, finally bringing you guys a tutorial. I know it's been a long time, but I've been enjoying my vacation, so yeah, so let's get into it. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys, or I'm going to be sharing a couple cool text setups that I've used in the past, and I'm going to give you the basic idea, and then you guys can work off of that, and then possibly make new styles, etc. So obviously start off with a blank new document, and then let's go into MoGraph, MoText. Let's center this, set the alignment to middle. Let's change the text to say tutorial, and the first font I'm going to use is Megadeth. So first of all, I'm going to do my basic text setup. I'm going to duplicate my text, so Control C, Control V. Then on the duplicate, you're going to go to caps, the caps tab, go to start, fillet, and then change the radii to 1 centimeter on both. And at this point, the fillet cap has made an outline of the text, and this is going to come in handy later on, and you'll see why. So let's make our first material. To make a new material, you can either go to create new material, or you can just double click in this open box down here. Then just double click on the sphere, and it'll open up your material editor. So let's start off with a color. I'm going to pick a bit of a cyan color like that. Let's say I like that. However, this doesn't look very realistic, and basically I'm just going to go step by step what I always do. Right click on the sphere in the top left corner, and then select Object, Soft Shadow, and then go to Reflection, check that, go to Texture, have a drop down menu, and then select Fresnel right here. And then this is a tad bit too much reflection, because on our text, if we have that much reflection, you're going to see the reflection of the other letters, and personally I don't like that. I mean, you might, so you can leave it with as much reflection as you wish, but I'm just going to tone it down to about 10% on both, like that. So this is it gives me a bit of reflection, but nothing too exaggerated. So now this should be good for now. So let's just drag and drop that onto the outside layer, and as you can see, that is what the fillet does. It essentially allows you to use more than one color on your text, which is very nice. Next up, we're going to use our main text, and let's actually make a new material. Once again, right click on the top left corner, Object, Soft Shadow, and this time I'm going to pick a gray, a nice gray. However, make sure that when you make a new material, you select color, because that was a mistake I made. I had it on the reflection tab. So make sure you're on color, and then change the color. I'm going to go to like a gray, but I'm going to leave it with this matte kind of color with no reflection, because with the effect that we're going to go for later, you're gonna see why. So next up is using our first plugin, which is Throwsy right here. And so let's go ahead and select Throwsy. This is a plugin which allows you to break up each letter into individual blocks. And so our Throwsy menu right here, this gives us the number of pieces that we want each letter to be broken into. So let's pick something easy, like 25 pieces. I'm actually going to go with 20, just like that. You don't have to change anything else, just go ahead and do break now. And as you can see, it's going to start breaking up each and every piece into 25 individual polygons. So once it's done, you can go ahead and select all of the fractures, which now contain all the broken pieces for each part, and select all of them by clicking on the first one, holding Shift, clicking on the last one, and then do Alt-G, and that groups it into a null. Go ahead and rename that to whatever you want. I misspelled that. Oh well, there we go, Throwsy. Now reselect all your broken parts, and you're going to have on the bottom right hand corner, go to the Effectors tab, which should be empty. And so while everything is still selected, go to MoGraph, Effector, and then Random. Excuse me. And so nothing has happened yet, but the final step is just clicking on the X's. So you just click and then drag down without letting go, and it selects all of them, and then there you go. So that's a bit crazy. So let's just go on to the Random Effector, go to the Effector tab, and you're going to see the strength level right here. Let's just crank it down to about 4%. Okay, that looks about right. The only problem is with Throwsy, or one of the problems which I don't like, is that especially when I use a fillet cap, it has these parts that poke through the blue edging or whatever edging whichever color you chose. So there's a very easy way of getting around that. So let's go back into our random. However, we're going to go into the parameter tab, and then here on the X, Y, and Z values, you're just going to modify these and get them closer to the 0 value. The closer they are to the 0 value, the closer they are to the vanilla settings, or quote-unquote vanilla, which would mean that there's no separation on the blocks. So let's just play around with this. This is the you can tell by the different parts of the three values what they do. So let's see the Y. There we go. So we don't have any more black parts poking through the sides of the letter. Well, there's one on the bottom, but that's not an issue right now. So next up, we are going to, let's just go ahead, drag and drop the Throwsy into the random, and then go to Plugins, Greebler, Greebler. Drag and drop the random into the Greebler, and what this does is it leaves you with a really cool, sort of futuristic effect on your text. And the reason why we broke it first is now it's a much more detailed, it has many more fine cuts in the Greebler. If you hadn't done that, I can show you right now. Let's see, can I show you right now? I will, just to show you what it would look like. Megadeth, there we go. Let's put that into the Greebler, and it's far less detailed compared. As you can see, it's all one piece in the front, and that's not something we're going to go for. So let's just go ahead and drag and drop that, and as you can see, that's a major change, and it looks much better in my opinion. So this is kind of crazy though, so let's go into our Greebler, and on the bottom right hand corner you have all the settings for the Greebler plugin. So first up, let's go to Object. Personally, the seed, the default seed, always works well, so you don't have to change that. Go to Base, you can change the minimum height. I typically put it down to 0, and then I change the maximum anything between 5 and 10 centimeters. Next up, I go to Stock Greebles, and Greebles are all these little polygons which are on the broken parts of the Greebler. As you can see, they're pointing out from all the ends. Personally, I think it ruins the look, so you're just going to unselect Generate Greebles, and that'll take care of it. However, if you feel like you still like them, you can go ahead and select it, and then you're going to have the Shapes tab at the very bottom, and this allows you to pick out exactly which ones you want. So usually, if I were to use it, I would deselect all and then only pick the square, just because I like simple shapes. Stuff like this, I think it just ruins the cleanliness of your render. So let's just go ahead and unselect that. And the reason why we had our fillet in the beginning is because now you have this nice blue outline, and depending on the font you use, this might become slightly difficult to read, especially once you're in Photoshop. So this blue outline allows you to have a more legible text. So this is it for the first one. Let's go ahead and move on to the second Greebler text style. Let's go ahead and go to MoGraph, MoText. Let's center it once again. I'm going to pick any font really. Typically something more rounded works well. I'm going to go with Porky's, if I can find it. Let's see. Let's see. These are all very good fonts, so I'll have the names in the description. There it is. It should be around here. Porky's. Where is it? There it is. Porky's. And this is a very nice toonish, cartoonish, rounded text, which already has this like tilted letters, which I like. And let's go ahead and horizontal spacing. I'm just going to split that up a bit, just because I don't like the letters colliding like that. And we're just going to duplicate that. We can change the depth, so let's just select both and then turn up the depth a bit. Then on the duplicate, you're just going to go to Plugins, Greebler. You don't have to add any caps or anything, just leave it as default and drag and drop it into the Greebler. Once it's in the Greebler, just select the Greebler itself and then drag and pull it behind your main text a bit. And so what this does is it leaves you with a nice, the Greebler it's actually a very unique plugin, especially if you know how to mess around with the settings. To be honest, I have not experimented with it a lot, so I only know the basic things for this, but it's a very unique plugin which I really enjoy using. So let's just mess around with this, take off the stock Rebels, and this is not the best example for the font, but this usually actually works much better with logos, and I'm going to show you an example. I'll go into my renders, renders. This came out very nice. I really like the look of it. As you can see, I put the red Greebler behind the logo, and it made these little points stick out. And to make them all random, like they were in that render, you just go to your Greebler, your base, you make your height and your maximum, your minimum and maximum very different numbers. If they are very close, then for example, if I were to make this 11, as you can see, the difference in length is not as great as if the minimum is obviously something lower like that. So moving on to the next one, I'm just going to keep this font because it's going to be fine. So let's just go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and duplicate our text once again. And on the duplicate, you're going to select it and hit the letter C on your keyboard. And what this does is it essentially makes it editable. So unfortunately, the only downside of this is that you can no longer edit what the text says. So make sure you get the text right before you hit the letter C. So you're just going to keep opening up all these folders until you get down to the splines of each letter. And you're just going to drag these out. So just to see what I did there, I clicked on the first spline, holded Control, clicked on the second one, and then clicked on the third one while still holding Control. And essentially what that does is it skips everything else and it's only what I click on. So now that we have all three of the splines here, I'm going to bring in our third plugin, which is Reaper X. And this is something that was used a while back, but it's still a really unique and cool plugin. And as you can see, it essentially makes coils using the splines of your text. You can do the same thing with your logo. And so we're just going to select all of our Reapers, go to the bottom right hand, which is all the settings always, and we're going to go down to our general and change the radius. Let's just bring that down a bit, and strands down to 1 or 2, and then just turn down the coils. This is obviously down to personal preference. Honestly, having a text like that looks really not very good. Usually having something with lower coils and then pushing back the Reaper X's behind the text a bit, so something like that typically looks better, especially if in Photoshop you were to add cool effects such as a lightning bolt or something like that, something that makes these Reaper X's stand out. That could look really cool. So that's another one. I'm trying to think of what else I can do here. There is Kurulumun. I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I'm not very experienced with this plugin at all, but I'm going to do my best and see if I can help you guys out. So once you bring this up, you're going to see this spline, which is very strange. But you're going to go down to your spline settings, and I believe it's the kill small. Yeah, you're just going to boost that up to something like 130. And then you're going to bring in a circle from your spline menu. You're going to change the radius to something like 20 centimeters, for example, or 25. Go to your Kurulumun, go to the mesh, and then here where it says profile spline, you can just click here, and then click on the circle. And essentially the circle is the diameter or the radius of the tentacle. So Obviously you can change that, and respectively it will change the tentacle. I think 20 looks pretty good. I'm just going to stick with 25. So that looks pretty good already. And this is a really cool effect if you're good at molding this in between letters. So for example, if I were to bring in the text, I'm going to choose, let's see what font I can use. This one. No. Usually a thicker font is going to look better. Yeah, this is fine. So Megatron, let's go ahead and center that. To scale down, this is slightly big right now, but I like the length and just like the ratio right now. So we're just going to click on this button right here, and then you're just going to click and drag down, and essentially that scales it. However, as you can see, the radius remains the same. So you're just going to want to tweak the, actually, my mistake. I believe, let's see, try selecting both Kurulumen and the circle. Yeah, there you go. So just select both the circle and the Kurulumen, and it will bring them down in size. So then I would recommend having these randomly placed throughout your render, and then just looping through your letters. So for example, having something coming from behind, I would try your best not to show the base right there. I just feel like it kind of ruins the look. So try to keep that hidden, and then have these tentacles popping out, and it can look really cool. Like for example, this is not the best example, but it's something. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. Uh-oh, tentacles, here it is. This is something that I made using messing with materials and stuff like that. Try to hide the base, have it coming from behind your logo. And then here I used Nitro Blast as well as a nice lava material on the tentacles. And I think it came out pretty cool, especially with the color correction. It looked great. So that's actually pretty much it, guys. That's a good amount of styles right there. And I'm going to leave the links to download all of these plugins. The only plugin which might cause a problem is Greebler, because it does require a serial number. But there are tons of key generators out there which work perfectly. So I'm actually going to show you guys really quickly how to install these plugins for the people that don't know already. So let's say you don't have anything open. Let's just close CINEMA4D entirely. Wait for this to close. These are my packs which I use in everything I do. This is like my color correction pack is something like 60 color corrections, and my stocks pack has an absolutely like shit ton of stocks. So it's very highly recommendable. It's a really good pack. I'm not pushing anybody to buy it, but I really recommend it. So if you're interested, just PM me and I can let you know about the prices. So to install it, you're going to go ahead and go to wherever you downloaded it. Let's say, for example, this is a plugin, for example, and for Mac at least, you're going to want to find the location folder. So if you have a Mac, you can just hold Command, click on CINEMA4D while it's in your dock, and it should open a Finder window. There we go. That brings you straight to the source of the CINEMA4D folder. If not on a PC, I'm pretty sure you can just look up Maxon. So just all caps Maxon, and it'll bring you to something similar to this. So when you through your downloads, you're just gonna have a different folder open, and then you're gonna go to plugins, and then you're just gonna go and drag and drop them inside, and it's as easy as that. Make sure you have your CINEMA4D closed while you are adding or removing plugins. If not, it will not work. And so just restart your CINEMA4D after you're done installing it, and everything should work. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and my next tutorial is going to be some tips and tricks on how I blend my stocks to make them look natural, and some other tips on which stocks to use, etc. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Peace out.